I'm sorry, Mom. I think it's better if I just leave. I can see how hard this has been for you and Dad because of me. Goodbye.
The autumn rain hammered my windshield like bullets as I pulled into the driveway of what used to feel like home. The house looked smaller somehow, shabbier than I remembered from this morning. Maybe that's what happens when your world starts cracking. Everything else looks broken too. I'm Jake Morrison, 48 years old, owner of Morrison's Auto Repair on the bad side of Millfield, Ohio. 25 years ago, this town had 3 factories in Hope. Now it had 2 strip malls, 4 bars, and a whole lot of people pretending things weren't falling apart. I fit right in. My daughter Amelia sat on the front porch steps, her college sweatshirt soaked through, hands shaking around something small and rectangular, a cassette tape. Who the hell still used those? Dad? Her voice cracked like ice on a pond. I know this is going to sound crazy, but you need to watch this. She held up the tape with 2 fingers like it might bite her. Rain dripped from her dark hair. My hair, not her mother's blonde perfection. What is it, sweetheart? It's Mom. The words came out strangled. And some guy from her office, Rick something. My stomach dropped into my work boots. Rick Caldwell, Marta's project manager. The guy with the BMW and the fake tan who'd been showing up at our barbecues lately, always with some excuse about work stuff that couldn't wait. Amelia, where did you... Mrs. Patterson next door. She said someone left it in her mailbox with a note that said, "For the Morrison family." She thought it was weird, brought it over. I was curious, so She started crying. I'm so sorry, Dad. I shouldn't have watched it, but I did. And now I can't unsee it. I took the tape with numb fingers. No label except Marta written in block letters with a black marker. How bad? I asked. She looked up at me with eyes full of hurt and rage. Bad enough that I threw up? Bad enough that I'm never speaking to her again. The front door opened. Marta stepped out in her power suit, the one that cost more than I made in a week. Still beautiful at 45, still the girl I'd married when we were both young and stupid and thought love could survive anything. Jake, you're home early. Her smile was perfect, practiced. Amelia, honey, why are you sitting in the rain? Our daughter stood up so fast she knocked over her coffee mug. It shattered on the concrete. Ask Dad, she said, then pushed past her mother into the house. Marta watched her go, then turned back to me with that expression she got when she was calculating damage control. What's wrong with her? I held up the tape. Apparently, someone thought I should see your latest performance review. The color drained from her face faster than water down a drain. Jake, I can explain. Can you? Because I haven't even watched it yet, and Amelia's already planning to never speak to you again. That's quite an opening act. She stepped closer, and I caught a whiff of cologne that wasn't mine. Expensive stuff, Rick's brand. Please just let me... 25 years, Marta. 25 years of marriage, 2 kids, a mortgage, and matching cemetery plots. Was it worth it? You don't understand. Things between us haven't been good for... For what? For years? Then you should have filed for divorce. Instead, you decided to star in amateur pornography with Mr. BMW. The rain kept falling. Our neighbor's lights were starting to come on. Mrs. Patterson's curtain twitched in her front window. By tomorrow, the whole block would know something was wrong with the Morrisons. I never meant for this to happen, Marta whispered. But it did happen, and someone made sure I'd find out about it. I pocketed the tape. The question is, who and why now? Her perfectly applied makeup was starting to run. What are you going to do? I looked at her, really looked at her, for what felt like the first time in years. The woman I'd loved, fought for, built a life with, the mother of my children, the stranger who'd just blown up everything I thought I knew about my own existence. I'm going to watch the tape, I said. Then I'm going to figure out who sent it. Then, I shrugged. Then we'll see what happens next. I walked into the house, leaving her standing in the rain. Our basement still smelled like the Christmas tree we'd thrown down there last January. I found Marta's old laptop, the one she claimed was broken but really just didn't want me using, and managed to get the tape playing through an ancient VCR I'd rescued from a customer's trade-in. The video was crystal clear, high definition, professional quality. My wife and Rick Caldwell were in his apartment. I recognized the pretentious modern furniture from the company Christmas party. They weren't just having an affair, they were performing. Talking to the camera, talking about me. God, I can't believe I've been married to that loser for 25 years, Marta purred. Doing things to Rick that she hadn't done for me since the Clinton administration. Rick laughed, running his hands through his salon-perfect hair. What does he even do all day? Fix cars? My BMW is worth more than his entire business. He used to box, Golden Gloves champion in high school. Now look at him, soft, broke, boring. Does he know how to satisfy a real woman? Jake? Please, I've been faking it since Bush was president. The first Bush. I watched 23 minutes of my wife and her lover destroying my life in high definition with commentary. By the end, I was shaking so hard I could barely hit the stop button. Upstairs, I heard Amelia's bedroom door slam. Then another door, Marta's car starting in the driveway, running to Rick probably, or maybe to some hotel where they could figure out damage control. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Enjoying the show? There's more where that came from. A friend. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Someone was playing games with my family. Someone with professional video equipment and intimate knowledge of my wife's schedule. Someone who wanted me to suffer. Well, congratulations. Mission accomplished. I climbed the stairs to find Amelia in the kitchen, making coffee with shaking hands. How long have you known? I asked. Suspected? About 6 months. She started working late, buying new clothes, getting her hair done more often. Classic signs, right? But knowing and seeing are different things. Why didn't you tell me? She turned around and I saw my own eyes looking back at me, hurt, angry, but not surprised. Because I hoped I was wrong, because I'm 21 years old and didn't want to be the one to destroy my parents' marriage, because I was scared you'd blame me for telling you. I could never blame you for this. Couldn't you? Part of you has to be wondering if I made this happen by watching the tape, if I should have just thrown it away and let you live in ignorance. The thought had crossed my mind, but only for a second. No, I said. Someone wanted me to know. If it wasn't this tape, it would have been something else. At least this way, I know exactly what I'm dealing with. What are you going to do? Good question. The old Jake, the guy who'd spent 25 years trying to be a good husband, a good father, a good neighbor, would have probably confronted Marta quietly, maybe suggested marriage counseling, definitely tried to work things out for the kids' sake. But that Jake had died 23 minutes ago in the basement, watching his wife perform for another man's camera while mocking everything he'd ever been or tried to be. This Jake was someone new, someone harder. I'm going to find out who sent this tape and why, I said. Then I'm going to make sure everyone who hurt this family pays for it. Amelia studied my face. Dad, you're scaring me a little. Good. Your mother and her boyfriend should be scared too. My phone buzzed again. Another text from the same unknown number. Check your email. You're going to love what I found in Rick's cloud storage. A friend. I grabbed Marta's laptop and logged into my email account. 3 new messages, all from throwaway accounts, all with video attachments. The first video was Rick talking to someone off camera about his project. The husband's a joke, he was saying. Blue-collar nobody with a failing business. Marta says he hasn't touched her in months. She's ready to leave him, just needs the right push. The second video showed Marta and Rick in what looked like a hotel room, planning their next moves. We need to be careful, Marta said. Jake's not as stupid as he looks. If he finds out before I'm ready to file for divorce, he might try to hide assets. What assets? Rick laughed. The guy drives a 15-year-old pickup truck. The house is worth something, and his business has cash flow, even if it's not much. I want half of everything, plus alimony. I've earned it after 25 years of playing housewife to a loser. The third video was the worst. Marta and Rick with another couple I didn't recognize, all of them laughing about something. You should see his face when he tries to talk business with real professionals, Marta was saying. He gets this lost look, like a dog trying to do math. I'm embarrassed to be seen with him. Why don't you just leave him? The other woman asked. Because I want him to suffer first. 25 years of boredom and disappointment, he owes me for that. I want him to know that he was never good enough, that every woman he ever meets will know he wasn't man enough to keep his wife happy. I closed the laptop before I put my fist through the screen. Dad? Amelia's voice seemed to come from very far away. I'm fine, I lied. But I wasn't fine. I was something else entirely. Something that had been sleeping for 25 years, waiting for the right moment to wake up. The old Jake Morrison was dead. The new one was just getting started. Frank Delacroix ran Millfield Boxing Gym out of a converted warehouse that smelled like sweat, leather, and broken dreams. He'd trained me when I was 17 and stupid enough to think I could fight my way out of this town. 28 years later, he was still here, still training kids who thought their fists could change their futures. "You look like hell," he said when I walked in at 6 a.m., carrying a bag of old gear I dug out of the attic. Feel worse. Frank was 65, built like a fire hydrant, with hands that had seen more fights than a bouncer at a biker bar. He took one look at my face and pointed toward the heavy bags. "Whatever it is, hit something before you tell me about it." I spent an hour knocking the hell out of a 100-pound bag, remembering what it felt like to have power in my hands. My body remembered the rhythms: jab, cross, hook, uppercut. The muscle memory was still there, buried under 25 years of marriage and responsibility. When I was done, Frank handed me a towel and a bottle of water. "Better? Getting there? Now talk." I told him everything: the tape, the videos, Marta's plans, Rick's arrogance. Frank listened without interrupting, the way he'd listened to 1,000 fighters with 1,000 problems over the years. "So, what's your plan?" he asked when I finished. "I don't have one yet. That's why I'm here. You want my advice? Always. Walk away. File for divorce, take whatever you can get, start over somewhere else. You're 48, not 88. You've got time to build a new life. And let them win? Kid, they've already won. Your marriage is over. Your wife doesn't love you, probably hasn't for years. Fighting about it now is just going to make the divorce messier and more expensive." I shook my head. "It's not about the marriage, Frank. It's about what they did to my daughter, what they said about me, what they're planning to do." "Which is what?" "Humiliate me. Take everything I've worked for. Make sure everyone in town knows I wasn't man enough to keep my wife." Frank studied my face. "And you're not going to let that happen?" "No, I'm not. What do you need?" That was Frank. No lectures, no moral judgments, just practical questions from a man who understood that sometimes the world forced you to fight back. Information. I need to know who sent me that tape and why. I need to know what else Marta and Rick are planning, and I need to know how to hurt them without ending up in jail. "You got any ideas about the tape?" "Someone with access to Rick's apartment and his computer files. Someone who knows Marta's schedule well enough to film them without getting caught. Someone who wants me to know the truth." Sounds like someone close to both of them. "Yeah, but who?" Frank was quiet for a minute, thinking. "You said Rick works at Marta's company?" "Brennan Industries. She's in marketing, he's in project management. Office politics can get nasty. Maybe someone at work has it in for one or both of them. Maybe. Or maybe it's personal. Someone Rick screwed over, or someone who has feelings for your wife." I hadn't thought of that. "You think someone else is involved?" "I think someone went to a lot of trouble to document your wife's affair and make sure you found out about it. That's not random. That's personal." My phone buzzed. Another text from my anonymous friend. "Ready for phase 2? Check your email." A friend. I opened the message on my phone. Another video attachment, this one taken in what looked like Brennan Industries' break room. Marta and a woman I didn't recognize, having coffee and talking. "The plan is working perfectly," Marta was saying. "Jake's so pathetic he probably won't even fight the divorce. I'll get the house, half his business, and alimony. Rick and I can start fresh." "What about the kids?" the other woman asked. "Amelia's old enough to choose where she lives, and she's always been closer to me anyway. Ross is in graduate school. He'll be fine. Kids adapt." "And if Jake doesn't go quietly?" Marta smiled, and it was the coldest expression I'd ever seen on her face. "Then we'll make sure everyone in town knows what kind of man he really is. Rick's already spreading stories about Jake's business practices, his drinking, his temper. By the time we're done, no one will blame me for leaving him." I showed the video to Frank. He watched it twice, then handed the phone back. "You recognize the other woman?" "No, but she seems to know a lot about the plan. Maybe she's your anonymous friend." "Why would she help me if she's helping Marta?" "Maybe she's playing both sides. Or maybe she's got her own agenda." Another text came in while we were talking. "The woman in the video is Erin Walsh, Marta's best friend from college. She works at Brennan Industries too in HR. Thought you should know?" "A friend." I stared at the screen. Erin Walsh. I'd met her a few times at company parties, but Marta always said they weren't that close anymore. Apparently, that was another lie. "Frank, I need to ask you something." "Shoot." "If someone destroyed your life, humiliated you in front of everyone you know, and planned to take everything you'd worked for, what would you do?" Frank was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft but steel hard. I'd make sure they regretted it for the rest of their lives. Even if it meant becoming someone you never thought you'd be. Kid, sometimes the world doesn't give you a choice about who you become. It just gives you a choice about how you handle it. I stood up, feeling something settle into place in my chest, something cold and patient and absolutely certain. Then I guess it's time to find out who I really am. Brennan Industries occupied a glass and steel monument to corporate mediocrity on the outskirts of Millfield's pathetic downtown. I'd been there exactly 3 times in 25 years, twice for Christmas parties, and once to pick up Marta when her car was in the shop. She'd always made it clear that her work life and her home life were separate things. Now I knew why. I parked my pickup truck next to Rick's BMW in the employee lot and waited. My anonymous friend had sent me Rick's schedule for the week, along with detailed information about his habits, his apartment building's security codes, and his credit card statements. Someone was very interested in helping me destroy Rick Caldwell. The question was, why? At 11:47 a.m., Rick emerged from the building with 2 other men in expensive suits. They were laughing about something, probably planning their lunch at whatever overpriced restaurant corporate types use to justify their existence. I followed them to Chez Laurent, a French place downtown that charged $30 for a sandwich. Through the window, I watched Rick hold court, gesturing with his wine glass, playing the role of successful businessman. My phone buzzed, a text from Amelia. Mom came home last night, wants to talk. I told her to go to hell. She's staying at the Marriott downtown, room 412. Another text, this one from my anonymous friend. Rick's apartment building has a service entrance on the north side. Code is 4397. He's at lunch until 2 p.m. A friend. I stared at the messages. Someone was practically drawing me a roadmap to revenge. The smart play would be to ignore it, go home, call a lawyer, and handle this like a civilized adult. But I was done being civilized. Rick's apartment was on the 4th floor of a converted warehouse that had been turned into trendy loft spaces for people with more money than sense. The service entrance code worked exactly as advertised. The hallway smelled like expensive carpet and air freshener. Rick's door had 3 locks, but the building's security was mostly for show. I'd learned a few things about locks during my boxing days, when breaking into the gym after hours was sometimes the only way to get training time. Rick's apartment looked like a magazine spread, all black leather and chrome with abstract art that probably cost more than my truck. Everything was perfect, sterile, soulless. I wasn't there to steal anything. I was there to send a message. In his bedroom, I found a walk-in closet full of designer suits, silk ties, and Italian shoes. Everything arranged by color and season, like a department store display. I took out my phone and started recording. This is Rick Caldwell's closet, I said to the camera. Rick's the guy who's been sleeping with my wife, Marta Morrison. Rick thinks he's better than me because he wears $1,000 suits and drives a BMW. I pulled one of the suits off its hanger and held it up. This particular suit probably costs more than most people make in a month. Rick wore it to my daughter's college graduation party, where he spent the evening making jokes about blue-collar workers and their simple lives. I carried the suit to Rick's kitchen, turned on the garbage disposal, and fed the jacket into it, sleeve by sleeve. Oops, I said to the camera. I did the same thing to 5 more suits, 3 pairs of Italian shoes, and a collection of silk ties that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. In Rick's bathroom, I found his collection of expensive cologne, hair products, and skincare items. Everything went down the toilet or into the trash. His refrigerator was full of organic food and imported beer. I opened every container and poured the contents down the drain. But the real prize was in his home office, a laptop computer with files labeled Marta Project and Morrison Divorce Strategy. I copied everything to a flash drive, then opened Rick's email and social media accounts. His passwords were pathetically easy to guess, variations of his own name and birth year. I spent 20 minutes sending emails to his coworkers, his family, and his social media contacts. Nothing threatening or illegal, just honest communications about his character and his recent activities with married women. By the time I was done, Rick Caldwell was going to have some very uncomfortable conversations. I left his apartment exactly as I'd found it, except for the missing clothes, the destroyed toiletries, and the emails that were already spreading across his professional and personal networks. On my way out, I stuck a note to his door. Rick, We need to talk. Jake Morrison. Back in my truck, I checked my phone. 3 new messages from my anonymous friend. Nice work. Phase 3 starts tonight. Marta's meeting with her lawyer at 6 p.m. Brennan Industries Conference Room B. A friend. Erin Walsh will be there too. She's been helping Marta plan the divorce strategy. A friend. Time to crash the party. A friend. I sat in the parking lot thinking, someone was orchestrating this whole thing, feeding me information, guiding my actions. But why? What did they get out of watching my marriage explode? My phone rang. Amelia. Dad, where are you? Running errands? Why? Mom called. She's hysterical. Apparently someone broke into Rick's apartment and destroyed all his stuff. She thinks it was you. What did you tell her? I told her I hoped it was you and that whoever did it should have burned the whole place down. Amelia. Dad, I'm proud of you. For the first time in my life, you're not just taking whatever people dish out. You're fighting back. This isn't a game, sweetheart. There are going to be consequences. Good. There should be consequences. Mom and Rick have been treating you like garbage for months, maybe years. It's time they found out what that feels like. After she hung up, I sat in my truck for another 10 minutes, watching office workers come and go from Brennan Industries. Normal people with normal problems, going about their normal lives. I wasn't normal anymore. I was something else, something harder and colder and more focused than I'd ever been. At 5:45 p.m., I walked into Brennan Industries like I belonged there. The security guard at Brennan Industries was a kid named Tommy, whose car I'd fixed 3 times in the past year. He waved me through without question. Hey, Mr. Morrison, here to see Marta? Something like that. Conference Room B was on the 3rd floor, down a hallway lined with motivational posters about teamwork and excellence. Through the glass walls, I could see Marta sitting at a polished table with 2 other people, a man in a lawyer's suit and a woman with short red hair who had to be Erin Walsh. They were looking at documents spread across the table. Divorce papers, probably, asset valuations, strategies for taking me apart piece by piece. I opened the door without knocking. Sorry I'm late, I said. Traffic was homicide. Marta's face went white. The lawyer, a thin man with nervous eyes, started gathering up papers like I was going to steal them. Erin Walsh just stared at me with an expression I couldn't read. Jake, Marta said, you can't be here. This is a private meeting. Is it? Because I thought we were married. Doesn't that make your divorce planning a family matter? Security. The lawyer called toward the door. Tommy's not coming, I said. We go way back. I pulled out a chair and sat down across from them. So, what are we talking about? How to destroy my life? How to take my business? How to make sure everyone in town knows what a pathetic loser I am? Erin Walsh leaned forward. Mr. Morrison, I think you should... You think I should what? Shut up? Go away? Let you people carve up my life like a Thanksgiving turkey? I pulled out my phone and set it on the table. Before we get started, I thought you might want to see something. I played the video of Marta and Erin in the break room, discussing their plans for my destruction. Marta's face went from white to gray. Where did you get that? Same place I got the videos of you and Rick. The ones where you talk about what a boring, pathetic husband I am. The ones where you plan to humiliate me in front of the whole town. The lawyer was sweating now. Mr. Morrison, I have to advise you that recording private conversations without consent is what? Illegal? Like infidelity used to be? Like destroying someone's marriage and planning to steal their assets? I turned to Erin Walsh. I'm curious about something, Erin. How long have you been helping my wife plan this little project? I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. You're Marta's college friend, her confidant, her partner in crime. You work in HR here, which means you have access to employee records, security footage, all kinds of useful information. Erin's face was carefully neutral, but her hands were shaking. You're also the one who's been sending me videos and information about Rick and Marta. You're my anonymous friend. Marta stared at Erin. What is he talking about? I have no idea. He's obviously having some kind of breakdown. I smiled. Am I? Let's see. I pulled out another phone, one I'd bought that morning with cash. This is the phone that's been texting me for the past 3 days, the one with your number programmed into it, Erin. Erin Walsh went very still. You see, I did a little research today. Turns out Erin here has some interesting history. She used to work at Morrison Auto Repair about 5 years ago. Remember, Marta, when I hired her as a bookkeeper? Marta was looking back and forth between me and Aaron like she was watching a tennis match. Aaron embezzled $12,000 from my business over 6 months. When I caught her, I fired her but didn't press charges because she was your friend, and she promised to pay it back. That's a lie, Aaron said, but her voice was weak. Is it? Because I kept all the documentation. Bank records, forged checks, altered receipts, everything I'd need to send you to prison. The lawyer was frantically taking notes. Marta looked like she was going to be sick. So here's what I think happened, I continued. Erin's been carrying a grudge against me for 5 years, waiting for a chance to get revenge. When she found out about Marta's affair with Rick, she saw her opportunity. That's insane, Marta whispered. Is it? Erin feeds you information about divorce law, helps you plan your strategy, makes you think you're going to take me for everything I'm worth. But at the same time, she's documenting everything, recording your conversations, copying Rick's files, gathering evidence. I stood up and walked around the table. Then she sends it all to me, piece by piece, making sure I know exactly what you're planning and exactly how much you hate me. Aaron was staring at the table, saying nothing. The beauty of it is, she gets revenge on both of us. You lose your marriage and your reputation. I lose my family and my peace of mind. She gets to watch us destroy each other. Aaron, Marta said. Tell him he's wrong. Aaron Walsh looked up at my wife with eyes full of hate. He's not wrong, she said quietly, about any of it. The silence in the room was deafening. You witch, Marta breathed. You manipulative, vindictive witch. I'm vindictive? You've been screwing around on your husband for months, planning to humiliate him and steal his business, and I'm the villain? You used me. You used yourself. I just made sure there were consequences. I sat back down, feeling strangely calm. So, here's where we stand. Marta, your affair is documented in high-definition video. Your plans to destroy me are recorded and witnessed. Your divorce strategy is compromised. I turned to the lawyer. I assume you'll be withdrawing from this case? He was already packing his briefcase. This is highly irregular. I'll need to review ethical considerations. You do that. I looked at Aaron. And you're going to disappear. Tonight, if I ever see you in this town again, I'll have you arrested for embezzlement, maltreatment, and anything else I can think of. You can't prove. I can prove all of it. Bank records, phone records, video evidence, witness testimony. You want to roll those dice? She didn't answer. I stood up. Marta, we'll talk when you're ready to be honest about what you want and what you're willing to give up to get it. Until then, stay away from my house and my daughter. Jake, wait! But I was already walking toward the door. Behind me, I could hear Marta and Aaron starting to scream at each other. 25 years of friendship exploding in accusations and betrayal. In the hallway, I passed Tommy, the security guard. Everything okay, Mr. Morrison? Getting better, I said. Getting much better. 3 days later, Rick Caldwell showed up at my garage. I was under the hood of a 1987 Camaro, trying to coax life back into an engine that should have been scrapped during the Bush administration, when I heard expensive shoes clicking across my concrete floor. We need to talk, Rick said. I didn't look up. Do we? You know we do. I wiped my hands on a rag and came out from under the hood. Rick looked like hell, unshaven, wearing a wrinkled shirt and jeans instead of his usual designer armor. His BMW had a cracked windshield and what looked like key scratches along the driver's side. Nice car, I said. What happened to it? You know what happened to it? Do I? Rick stepped closer, trying to use his height advantage to intimidate me. It might have worked a week ago when I was still the old Jake Morrison. But that guy was gone. You destroyed my apartment. You sent those emails to my family and coworkers. You ruined my life. Did I? Because I thought Marta ruined your life when she threw you under the bus in that conference room 3 days ago. Rick's face twisted with rage. That was your fault too. You turned her against me. I didn't have to turn her against you, Rick. I just had to show her what you really thought of her. Turns out she didn't like being called a desperate housewife with daddy issues any more than I liked being called a pathetic blue-collar loser. Those videos were private. Were they? Because they seemed pretty public to me. Professional quality, multiple camera angles, detailed audio. Almost like someone was planning to distribute them. Rick's hands clenched into fists. You don't know what you're talking about, don't I? See, I did some research after our little conference room meeting. Turns out you and Aaron Walsh have quite a history together. You dated in college, didn't you? Before she introduced you to Marta. Rick went very still. Erin's been carrying a torch for you for 20 years. When she found out about your affair with Marta, she saw her chance. Document everything, destroy the marriage, and when the dust settled, she'd be there to comfort you. That's insane. Is it? Because Erin's the one with access to Brennan Industries' security system. She's the one who could get into your apartment without breaking in. She's the one who knew both your schedules well enough to film you without getting caught. I picked up a wrench and tested its weight in my hand. The only thing she didn't count on was you being stupid enough to fall for a married woman instead of coming back to her. Even if that's true, it doesn't change what you did to my apartment. What I did to your apartment was nothing compared to what you did to my family. Rick took another step closer. I could have you arrested. For what? Breaking and entering? Destruction of property? Go ahead, call the cops. Let's see what they think when I show them the videos of you and my wife planning to destroy my life. Those videos were illegally obtained. Were they? By who? You just admitted you don't know who filmed them or how they got them. Rick was breathing hard now, his face red with frustration and rage. You think you're so smart, don't you? Smarter than you. Smart enough not to sleep with a married woman and document it in high definition. Smart enough to destroy a man's career over a personal grudge? I laughed. Rick, I didn't destroy your career. You did that all by yourself when you decided to screw around with a married coworker and brag about it on camera. I loved her. No, you didn't. You wanted to humiliate me, and she was the weapon you chose to do it with. The problem is, weapons cut both ways. Rick was quiet for a long moment, staring at the concrete floor. When he looked up, his eyes were desperate. What do you want? I want you to disappear. Tonight. Leave town, find a new job, start over somewhere else. I can't just... Sure you can. You're young, educated, talented. You'll land on your feet. And if I don't, I hefted the wrench again. Then we'll have this conversation again. And next time, I might not be feeling so generous. Rick stared at me for 30 seconds, trying to decide if I was bluffing. I wasn't, and something in my expression must have told him so. This isn't over, he said finally. Yes, it is. After he left, I went back to work on the Camaro, but my hands were shaking, and it took me 3 tries to get the carburetor back together properly. I'd won. Rick was leaving town, Aaron was already gone, and Marta was alone in her hotel room, facing the wreckage of her carefully planned revenge. My marriage was over, but I'd made sure it ended on my terms, not theirs. So why did I feel so empty? My phone buzzed. A text from Amelia. Mom wants to come home, says she's sorry, wants to work things out. What should I tell her? I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Tell her we'll talk, but not today, not yet. Some wounds needed time to heal. Some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt. But maybe, with enough time and honesty, we could build new ones.